CM Punk could get jumped at WWE Clash at the Castle. Plus, we have an update on a top AEW star's contract and an update on the return to WWE of Seth Rollins. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Clash at the Castle is a week from Saturday. Drew McIntyre walks into the Hydro in Glasgow to become, hopefully, the World Heavyweight Champion when he faces Damian Priest in his homeland. I had the chance to have a catch-up with Iron Drew yesterday ahead of that match, and I asked a question that has certainly been on my mind ever since this match was announced, Andrew.
Yeah, so Big Tommy, he asked Drew McIntyre, what would happen if CM Punk were to show up at the Hydro in Glasgow? And Drew replied, I think it would be a mistake for a number of reasons after what happened last time at Clash. I really do not want something like that to happen again to the UK. This is my Glasgow. This is Scotland. This is different. I would strongly suggest not getting involved or doing anything to rock the boat during this show, as there's a genuine chance you'll get jumped. I'm not even joking. And there's a genuine chance the security guards won't stop them because they're Scottish as well. I'm telling you, there's a good chance you'll get jumped, and security will help jump you if you get involved in my match.
Now, obviously, this is we're leading to a wrestling story. We're telling a tale here. But I think that crowd in Scotland, if it doesn't go the way of Drew, I think you might have a right on your hands.
I think they will go absolutely bananas. I'm sure of it. And you know what? Part of me thinks he's not going to do it. Part of me thinks he's not going to do it in Scotland.
Here's the thing, Andrew. Mm-hmm. I don't think Drew's going to win the belt either.
Because I'm thinking, so if obviously we see Gunter now winning the King of the Ring, he gets a title shot at SummerSlam. I don't see if Drew gets the belt. When I see Gunter going for that title shot at SummerSlam, I see him winning at SummerSlam as well. And to be fair, Gunter could take the pin, whatever, but I don't see Damian Priest losing here. I see him losing at SummerSlam to Gunter. So that makes me think all the more there that Drew's being like, don't get involved, don't do anything daft. What does CM Punk like to do? The absolute opposite of what people tell him not to do. So that's what I think, at least, anyway.
That crowd, if what I think is going to go down goes down, it's going to be something else.
I mean,
something else in Scotland.
Cardiff was the room was sucked out of the air when Solo arrived.
The air was sucked out of the room.
What did I say? The room was sucked out of the air. The room was sucked out of the air. It was that drastic. It was insane.
The room was sucked out of the room.
Oh dear, words are not my strong point.
And the air sucked off the room.
That. Oh dear, that was something. I mean, that was something to behold whilst we were there, right? Like as you said rightly, the air got sucked out of the room. So just imagine what it'll be like in Glasgow, in Scotland. It'll be ridiculous.
Drew was also asked by Tom Campbell of Cultaholic if there were any similarities between himself and CM Punk, and that's maybe why they fell out. And he said, I believe that maybe now I have some similarities to Punk in the past, and not the terrible similarities, because he was a genuinely horrible person, and I believe he still is. He's just very good at putting on an act. He was, anti-establishment. He did speak his mind, even if people didn't always agree with him or believe him. It was the truth. And he always marched to the beat of his own drum and spoke his truth. But now that's not the case. He is the corporate shill. He's always in the suit, always trying to do whatever he can do to make bosses happy and kiss their butts and make sure he can justify that big contract. Well, Drew McIntyre is saying how he feels, marching to the beat of his drum, doing what I know is right for not just myself, but for the company, and I'm being a good person while I do it. And the thing that he hates most probably about me is that I am more CM Punk than CM Punk.
Woo!
CM Punk shared another training update on social media, indicating that an in-ring return is drawing near. You'll never hear the shot that brings you down. Out of time, so say goodbye. Maybe. Now... You can hear that full interview tomorrow morning, exclusively on the Cultaholic podcast feed. It was genuinely lovely to have a catch-up with Drew McIntyre. We talk about, obviously, CM Punk possibly getting jumped by very angry fans in Scotland. We talk about him getting a sword given to him from The Rock. We talk about which Scottish sporting personalities he'd like to walk down the ring with.
So you're going to sit down the aisle
Down
with.
the aisle with. Who would she like to marry? And obviously, with all the WWE TNA crossover in the air, I asked him if he believes in Joe Hendry. Find out his answer on the podcast feed, the Cultaholic podcast feed. Search Cultaholic Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're a Patreon, you can watch the video version as well as a thank you at patreon.com/Cultaholic. Christian Cage was the guest of Chris Van Vliet this week, and he talked about his decision to sign with AEW, didn't he?
He sure did. He said, I think we, myself and WWE, were back and forth a little bit and we never got as far as numbers or anything like that. I think it was more like scheduling stuff, like what I was willing to do. I think we were trying to get some traction there. A friend of mine, John Moxley, called me and we were talking, and when he found out I wasn't signed, he was blown away by that. He said, you should have a conversation with Tony Khan. And I was like, I don't know. And he said, well, you're actually an idiot if you don't. You hold all the cards here. He said, you have the ability to pick where you refinish your career. You should at least have a conversation, don't you think? I said, if Tony wants to talk to me, then I would love to have a conversation with him.
This led to a 3-hour conversation between Christian Cage and Tony Khan, and ultimately Cage signing with AEW. He revealed what his future looks like a bit, saying, I always said that I would do it until it wasn't fun. That was my barometer on it. How can I not be having fun right now? I have no timeline. I signed a contract. I think I have another 3 years left on this contract. So we will get to the end of that and then we will see what happens. I would like to, at some point when the time is right, obviously give back to the business that has done what it's done for me. So possibly moving into a behind the scenes role within AEW or somewhere else possibly. I think 3 years at least for Christian Cage, but it's one of them where he's reinvented himself so magnificently in AEW.
It's been ridiculous, hasn't it? Just like his character work is, I feel like some of the best character work a wrestler is doing just in general at the moment, by far. There's still obviously stories to tell. We need to get back round to him and Adam Copeland at some point too. But it's so nice just to see him again. When we talk about wrestlers who have had to retire prematurely before, but like to see him come back from that and then be able to like just go on the run of a lifetime at the moment for sure, and really have fun with it too is always a delight to hear. That I haven't finished the Chris Van Vliet episode yet, but it's really good so far. I'm about halfway through. Very, very worth a watch.
Big shout out to our friend Chris Van Vliet for that bad boy. We have an update finally on somebody who has been absent since WrestleMania and getting himself fit and healthy, ready for another go at it. Seth Rollins back on our social media feeds today.
Yeah, so he was shared a video update on his Black and Brave Wrestling Training School Instagram doing some overhead shoulder presses. He was sporting a light knee pad on his right leg, and he's not bald, everybody. Foof, it's fine. He's still got his hair. It's all long. He's still got the blonde and everything in it too. He's re-signed with WWE recently, but there's no set date as to when his in-ring return will be. I guess like maybe the video is a tease that it could be sooner rather than later, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Could be. He's looking good in there, considering like he tore his meniscus start of the year. He's recovered from that quite well. Obviously, he's not bald. There was there some rumor and innuendo going around that he'd shaved.
Because he shaved the beard down, hadn't he? Which is coming in again nicely. But yeah, like I guess you couldn't see much hair, could you, in the hat that he was wearing? His hair, it's fine.
He's
everybody.
blonde. He's got blonde in there now.
God,
so like the old days of Seth Rollins. I'm hoping he's going to start kicking bins and disrespecting his surroundings now. Like back in his indie days. He looked good for it. He'll be a welcome addition back. And I think he adds a little bit of a question mark possibly to what's going to happen between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Because obviously the plan from WWE, the fait accompli, was going to be a Rollins-Punk match at WrestleMania. However, Punk's injury, Drew intercepting that so magnificently, creating memorable, memeable moments along the way. It's kind of made the match, the money match now being Drew versus Punk. And where Seth fits into that, I'm not quite sure. But I'm enjoying the journey along the way. The branches that we take lead to good destinations regardless. And I think it's going to be a destination that might get CM Punk jumped in Scotland next weekend. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Keys.
I love you, bye.